Hello and welcome to the brand new TV show called Sales Talk. And Sales Talk is all about focusing on growth and sales in your business. So it's really exciting journey we have ahead in this TV show. So this episode is a really good one because it talks about outsourcing. And outsourcing is an amazing way as business owners that we can free up time to focus on growth. But of course, there are some concerns that we might have about that, right? How expensive is it? Can I afford it? How do I make sure I'm delegating the right task? And if I delegate them, how do I know they're going to be done to the right standards that I have for myself? Well, I could talk to you about this for quite a while, but I'm not going to do that, right? We're going to go to an expert. We're going to go to an expert in this area. We're going to go to Amy Milchard of Pink Spaghetti, who is a virtual assistant, an executive outsourcer, and it's going to be really interesting because Amy shares with us some amazing insights, some amazing tips, and you're going to really sort of see some of the value from her perspective in outsourcing. Not only what she can bring as a business owner to your business, but actually how her business has grown as well because of outsourcing. So I think you're going to get a lot from it. Enjoy it, and I'll see you in a while. Hi Amy.
Hi Steve.
Really glad that I'm here and really grateful for you seeing me today.
Brilliant, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming down here to where I dwell in my working hours.
Yeah, well, it's a nice spot, I have to say. So look, but before we go into what we're going to talk about, just tell everybody who you are.
Okay.
And what you do.
Okay, so my name's Amy. If you've not met me before, Amy Milchard. I run Pink Spaghetti in Sheffield and surrounds. It's a personal assistance company, but the term most widely known now is virtual assistants, which means we're part of your business, but also outside of your business. So we come in to help businesses who've either got a project, a service, or just an increase in their workflow, and they need an extra pair of hands.
Nice one. Well, I know because I've worked with you before, so I do know some of the things you do. But we'll go into a little bit of that as we go through our chat. But let's just start off with just your business.
Okay.
Right, your business, and this subject we're talking about is about sort of delegating, about outsourcing, about I guess, driving accountability and keeping tasks on track, and really sort of how do you scale and grow a business. Now I know your business has done that, right? So do you want to just tell us and share with us some of the stuff that you know and that you do?
Yeah, I guess I should say Pink Spaghetti is a franchise, so obviously I've had the benefit of people around me who know the business inside out, and I could just model that in the area. But that's not to say I wasn't starting from scratch. The same as every business owner, it starts with you, your efforts, your drive, your skill set, and you do carry that with you at all times. And I think that's where, when you start to get busy, you start to get lots of clients wanting lots of different things. If you're not careful, you will stay in that. It's me, it's my business, I can do this, I can do that, and you can't. So I'd say it was gradual, gently, as the projects grew, the size of clients, the number of clients grew, I couldn't do it all by myself.
Right.
So I tested the waters. I used other franchisees, I've used subcontractors, and it was really when I felt the business had solidified to a certain level, I'd go, okay, it's time to recruit.
Okay.
And I guess the way I've done my recruitment is either, some of it's based on volume, but some of it's very specific based on the projects and the clients we've got in.
Okay.
So I recruit on a skills-based, agenda.
Yeah.
So if we've got a type of work coming in, I look for people with those skills. I'm not big enough yet.
Get it.
To recruit.
Yet, I enjoyed that.
Just to recruit too many generalists, if you like. I mean, it's great, but actually, it doesn't make sense to recruit people just for the sake of having nice, interested people around. For me, it was always about matching the right person to the client's work. So number one, we could deliver great work, and number two, we weren't going ahead of ourselves in terms of size and capacity. It was very much on a needs basis. I need this in the business. Do I want to do it? Can I do it? Can I do it as good as someone else? If all those things come together, then it's time to.
So it's interesting. So it's almost like skill set driven, right?
For me, very much.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that might just be the nature of our work. So because we're virtual assistants, we support all kinds of businesses in all kinds of ways. So each client has very different types of work. They're in very different types of industries. And this is where the personal assistant thing comes in, because it is a very personal relationship you need to have with our clients. We are working as if we were in the company. So you need to match the right person to the job. And then obviously once you've got someone in with the right skills for one client, that then influences your marketing and go, do you know, we can do more of that. We've got the capacity and the skills. Let's sell some of that and bring, make that a bigger area of our business.
So it's interesting you talk about relationships, and that becomes an important part of, I guess, trust, right?
Yeah.
And so we work together. I trust you. I like what you do, and then I ask you for something that is not in your skills. What do you do then? How do you overcome that kind of challenge? Because you're not going to say, no, I can't do that.
Always say yes. Always say yes. No. I think the first thing is, if it is genuinely beyond either our skills and our network, so not just the Pink Spaghetti network, like my network, our network, who do we know? Or it's something I just don't think we could deliver, then this is where the trust is. I'd just tell you that very clearly. I don't think that's been the case, certainly not with yourself or in many situations. So it's about me being the conduit, really. What do you need? I've got the relationship with you, for example. So understanding what it is you need, your objectives, the deliverables you want. And then if we don't have the skills in-house, well, who do we know? Who do we trust? Who can we bring in? Who do we work well with? Who have we done things before? Or who do we know that have done things with other people that we know, or so on. It's the network we've built and drawing on that, and again, matching to your needs, and we then outsource that way.
Yeah, because that's a curious thing, right? So I'm asking potentially you and your business to help me. Yeah. And you say yes. And then there might be elements of that you outsource. Yeah. The interesting part here is how have you become comfortable with delegating? How have you become comfortable that people will deliver to the standards that you've built your trust upon? Because many people watching this will probably, could find delegating and then trusting people to deliver quite a difficult concept, which is what small business owners might struggle with, right?
Yeah. I suppose my answer is really split. So I tend to trust based on experience of managing people that I've had in my previous life before running a business. So I've got the people management skills, that sort of ability to go, okay, I think they're around about this level, or their skill sets are about here. But then in terms of that, so that's where I begin with the delegation.
Yeah.
You can't delegate if you don't allow an amount of trust to start with. I think there's a point where you need to deliver a clear brief and be comfortable handing that over, saying this is the brief, have your checkpoints and your balances and your communication channels, and allowing that to flow and seeing it yourself more of a project manager.
It's interesting,
and allowing someone else to do the delivery. It is a bit scary. It is a bit, and I think you just have to jump in. I think if you're honest, there's things that you might like doing, but it doesn't mean you're the best.
Yeah.
So, for instance, there's things that I do that I know I can spend hours. I really like doing. I get into it, and I think I'm perfecting it. And then I realise I've spent about 6 hours on something that really could take someone much more skilled, pinpoint accuracy. That I've done it in an hour.
Yeah.
So it's stupid of me to kid myself that I should be doing that piece of work, because I might enjoy it, but is it cost effective?
Yeah.
Is it profitable? Is it actually me making the best use of business capacity? Or could we, on a literal sense, could we sell more of the products?
Really, you're asking yourself, I guess, all of the questions that us as business owners ask ourselves when we would ask for some help from you, right, all the time, because that sort of releasing, delegating, trusting,
it's huge.
It's a massive thing, isn't it? It's a massive thing, and there is stuff that, just picking up on what you were saying about skills, there is stuff that I know that I would, to your point, sit there for hours just trying to get something formatted right, lined up right, and get frustrated by my inadequacies at doing these things.
Yeah.
But actually just having that confidence to outsource it. But within that, it obviously comes to your point about money, right? Mm-hmm. It's a cost-based, a cost and results-based equation that you're playing with. Yeah. So in your experience, what are the kind of things that people do struggle with that actually hamstrings them as a business owner, that you've seen are really good and quick things that people can delegate and outsource?
I think generally, so if you've been going alone, for instance, or you might have a couple of people in, but you're still quite hands-on, you can't always see the wood for the trees. You've just got a really strong sense that it's a grind, something's not flowing, or you're just spending too much time at work, or you're bringing work home, your weekends are obliterated. And we've all done it, and sometimes you get certain projects and you do just have to crack on. But there's like an instinct, I think, where it's not right, and it's about firstly recognising it, and then being a little bit brave and telling someone. Okay, that's interesting. And I think that's where we try to be really approachable. Yeah. It's not like we'll judge you as inferior because you can't, build formulas in a spreadsheet as fast as we can. Because I can't, I'm not a graphic designer. Yeah. And I watch people and it's amazing, but it doesn't mean I think I can do it. But there might be other things people can do for themselves. But why should they? They're building a fantastic business based on their individual talents. So just because they can create their own invoices, why would you? Why would you? Yeah. So I think some of it's about just making the first step of saying, I think I need to do something different. Secondly, saying it to the right people, the people that will listen, rather than the people that will just immediately sell something to you, because I think that's where a lot of people get their fingers burnt, with outsourcing particularly. Placing a trust in somebody who's sold them a dream maybe might be, a bit harsh, but occasionally you really want something to work so much, you are willing to just go, okay, I want it this much, I'll pay this much for it. Yeah. And it goes wrong. Whereas I think when we work with business owners, because we are personal assistants, virtual assistants, we are acting as them if they had more time. So that's the slight difference that we've got. We just perform tasks that they're not able to do either through time, want, or skill. So I think the first thing is recognising you need it and being brave enough to say it. And then the second thing is really, not everybody knows what it is. They just know it's not working. Sometimes people are really clear. It's this. It takes me hours. I know it shouldn't take me hours. Yeah. You can do it faster. You were quite clear. I don't want to do this. It slows me down. I've got other things to crack on with. Other people, it's just a more general sense of, I think I could change something here. So that's where we come in and just talk and listen, and people have that light bulb moment. Okay, And again, that's a difference with us, is that you can try very small steps. You can hand over a very small element of a task or the whole task, or you can ask us to analyse the whole process and identify. So you can use this in a number of different ways, and I think that helps to build that sort of sense of safety and control. So we don't have contracts, for example, and we generally charge by the hour, so people can control budgets and trust.
Well, because that's a really big thing, isn't it? Because part of the sales mindset coach syllabus, there are elements that I really advocate. Outsourcing, delegating, but you don't delegate any of the responsibility, right? It's still yours. And I think what you talk about is really interesting about this mindset. There is stuff that, when I talk about our jobs, are fundamentally to either make, sell, import, whatever it is we do, photography, graphic designer. But as a business owner, there's so much that absorbs our time, right? So the simple equation about how much money do you make when you're taking pictures, or when you're doing designing, or when you're doing sales training courses, versus the cost of that administrative task at that level. And just having the conversation and maybe someone helping you see that is an equation, that is a balance sheet, and you can have a choice. So I think that's a really interesting way that you go about that, and you have that conversation and you listen, and then you have options, right?
Yeah, and I think it helps that I'm doing the same thing as them.
Well, that's right, you run a business.
Yeah. And I'm gently trying things out, building new services, or just testing it and bringing in people, and things go wrong and things go well, and then it's the same for everyone. I think there is something as well about the testing gently and staying in control.
So tell us a bit more about that.
Sharing responsibility. I think that when it comes to handing something over, it releases the pressure, and I think there's the mindset of I must do it all, suddenly switching into I am running it all rather than doing it all. I think emotionally, and the sort of the heat that you put in your stress levels starts to simmer down, and then you automatically become more productive anyway. So I think that ability to see it as not that you're no longer doing it, it's just that you're running a business that has this done in it.
I mean, it's that phrase that we hear a lot said, isn't it? Working on your business instead of in your business. And creating that environment where you're doing more of that. You are the leader of your business.
Exactly.
And that's an interesting reflection for people watching this about how much time are they on or in. And we can't ignore the fact we just have to do stuff. So we can't just always work on our business. We sometimes have to work in it. But are you reaching the right level of that to make you as effective, productive, efficient as you could be? I mean, I very much work that I have anything I outsource, people I outsource to. I really, really try and make them feel part of my ecosystem, of my team, right?
You do that really well.
Oh, thanks,
But you do.
But it's really, to me, it's really important, isn't it? Because it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on this. It's not that you try harder or you work harder with somebody that shares that, but the emotional connection to the purpose, the emotional connection to, I'm not going to do this any better for you than I would for you, but I really get where it's coming from. So I might show some initiative, or I might think outside of the box, or I might mention you to somebody else because, does it make a difference in your business that people take time to scope it out, to share with you the journey?
Yeah.
How does that play out?
Absolutely hit the nail on the head for the sort of dream scenario for us, and I suppose for everyone working with other people. You do need to have synergies, a word people use a lot, but it's important. It's important to have people that are invested in what you're doing. If they're not invested and they're just churning out, a standard product, they might be very good at it, but it just doesn't feel like you. And when you're bringing in an outsourced service person, contractor, then you really need them to be as on board as you are, and potentially someone that you would employ would be. It's just the nature of your contract with them. It's different. But I think, again, that's the great thing about outsourcing. We're not the only virtual assistant services by any miles, and each one is slightly different. We're in a co-working venue now. Each one is slightly different. People will naturally click with who and where they're supposed to be, and that's what outsourcing brings. That's why it's exciting, because you can employ, and that's brilliant as well for a whole host of other reasons. But when you're choosing, you have the power to choose who you bring in as an outsourced person service business. That's exciting. It's like bringing a new angle to your business that you can try. It'll work, it might not work, it might work for one project, not for another, but you're not wedded to it. You can bring the right person in for the right project or the right service, and bring someone else in for something else, and keep it as compartmentalised as that. Or, you might get lucky and someone could do a few things, but it's just a really creative way, I think, to build more into your business that should, if you get the right people, start sort of ticking your boxes. And
so one of the other things we talk about in the Sales Mindset Coach syllabus is self-development. And I think, for me, one of the advantages of outsourcing, if that is the right word, I guess it is you can focus your self-development on the things that really matter to your business, right? Because you're liberating and that skill set that I don't have to invest in, right? So I definitely know there are areas I could be better at, but actually the investment I would make on that would be just almost like lost money. I might get marginally better. I'd rather spend it in an area where it actually makes a difference to the income into my business, right? Yeah. And I think that's one of the really important things that we, and this is not to, the accountants watching this. It's, there's a lot of tools out there, and accountants are really good at using them. Now, I could self-learn how to use Xero or whatever it is, but that doesn't bring anything into my income. No. Right, so I think the important part about outsourcing for me is that fundamentally is the bit that it enables me to do. It enables me to focus on the growth aspects of my business versus the the stuff that's important. But even by me upskilling and doing it still doesn't bring in revenue.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, if you were on the fence about whether to try outsourcing, then I think that's the killer question, isn't it? It's like, do I want my business to grow? What is the quickest and safest way to do it? Well, it's incredibly safe because you're bringing in experts. It's not you, and with all due respect, we can't be expert at everything. So actually, it's a no-brainer. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great place to leave it, really. So, Amy, thanks ever so much, and hopefully everybody out there. I mean, there are so many nuggets of wisdom here. Just once more, say the company, just so people can get that.
So Pink Spaghetti, Sheffield and surround, personal assistants.
Nice one. Thanks, Amy. So thank you, Amy. That was just great. I hope you got loads from that. Listening to these experts is all what Sales Talk is about. Sales Talk is about learning from our community and really taking those top tips. So Amy, thanks again. That was great. So as we sort of wind up this first episode, some top tips from me in the area of outsourcing and driving accountability. Mindset, of course. Get in the mindset of delegating. Let it happen. Get in the mindset of the balance between cost, time and value. Just think about that equation and where you best are to spend your time and where you're best to outsource things. Remember, when you're outsourcing to people or delegating to people, take time to explain. Take time to explain what it is that they're doing and how important it is to you. And maybe if you've got a good relationship and it's strategic in terms of a task, how it fits into the bigger picture. People like to feel involved in delivering success or projects. Within that, of course, you've got to allow people to be accountable. Allow them to take ownership. Allow them to take responsibility and come to you when there are challenges or opportunities. And one of the things that you find from that is people will be creative. They'll come up with new ideas, new ways of doing things that you would never have thought of, because you're leveraging on their experience and their skills. And the last one, whatever time you liberate, please dedicate it to some new business activities. So there we are, we're at the end of the first episode. It's been a great one, I'm sure you'll agree. As we move on to our next episode, we're going to be focusing on the sales pipeline. We're going to be focusing on how you use the sales pipeline to prioritise your sales activities to grow your business. So if there's anything you want to know, any questions you have about sales pipeline management or the art of sales pipelines, with Spankop of course, just drop me a note, send me a message, and I'll make sure that's built into our preparation for the next episode of Sales Talk. See you again soon.